Live streaming is on.
There we go. Thanks, Jitsi. Um, Hello to anyone who's watching this in the future. You're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays tabletop role-playing games online. You can find them at gauntlet-rpg.com. There'll be a link down below in the description of this video where you'll find all the stuff they do, which includes blogs, forums. There's the monthly zine codex where they put out supplements to existing games and original games in itself. There's the cool podcast network with a bunch of different podcasts. I think there's actually, at the time of this recording, this just popped up on my podcatcher. There's a new episode of the Gauntlet podcast talking about lots of cool games. Check all that, gauntlet-rpg.com. And of course, there's the Hangouts calendar to which this game was arranged. This is session 1 of our months-long playthrough. When I say months, 1 month, 4 weeks. The start of a 4-session run through Girl by Moonlight by Andrew Gillis. This is a hack of Blades in the Dark by John Harper. While Blades in the Dark was about thieving scoundrels, criminals, rogues in an industrial fantasy city, Girl by Moonlight is about magical girls. It's about young people, young teenagers struggling against an oppressive, dark world, trying to find and bring hope between themselves and to the world, trying to fight back the darkness. It is about the tragic struggles and defiant triumphs of a crew of magical girls against the darkness of oppressive society. It explores the heartbreak of denying who you really are and the transcendent power of relationships and communities, which is fab. There'll be a link below to Andrew's Twitter. You can find them at Commuting Crow. It is spelled as it sounds. And yeah, it's really cool. Hopefully, we'll have a fine time going through it. For anyone who doesn't know, Girl by Moonlight, instead of its equivalent of cruise sheets, it does series sheets, which is basically what kind of magical girl show are you playing through. There's 4 of them right now. We have picked the series In Darkest Night, which is the sad, tragic one. The other 3, they give you chances to get moments of hope, and they have some cool touchstones like Sailor Moon or Nanoha or even Paprika, stuff like that. But for In Darkest Night, we're hitting like that monolithic magical girl anime of the late 2000s, early 2010s, which is Puella Magi Madoka Magica, aka the sad one, the dark one, the really tragic one. Hey, have you ever thought about how magical girls are basically like child soldiers fighting an oppressive, horrific darkness? Yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm sorry. But who's gonna be in this game with playing this? Let's meet themselves. Actually, I should introduce myself. Hi, my name's Leandro. I use he and pronouns, and I'd like everyone to just do the same thing, like names, pronouns, and if there's anything you want to plug. I should plug something then. Damn it. Yeah, okay, all right, I brought this on myself. I think I've already plugged a lot of Gauntlet stuff. I'm just gonna take the easy one right now. Currently, there is a Kickstarter for a beautiful physical edition of probably the premier Gauntlet Codex game, which is Trophy by Jesse Ross. There'll be a link down below. It's really cool. There's like 3 games come in this lovely just box. There's Trophy Dark, the original, Trophy Gold, the dungeon crawly one, which myself and another player here just played for the first time this week, and Trophy Loom, which is a world building game. Check that out. I've more than one person on this call has written a thing for Trophy and may be in that book, and the idea of it being a physical thing is just what? That's weird. That's really weird. Anyway, I think there should still be some time to back the Kickstarter. There'll be a link down below. Let's go by the order I see on my screen, which is going to be it's going to be counterclockwise. So I'm going to start with Sabine. Would you kindly introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns. I will also plug the Kickstarter for Trophy because I've written stuff for it, and I'm such a huge fan that I have a tattoo now that you can't see because this camera is awful, but I have it, and I have to twist my arm. Look at this. I have this tattoo made Wednesday. So, well, yeah, I'm a fan, and I also like the art. The art's great. and the games are great. Everything is great. Also, this is February, so that means there are scene quests, and there are several pretty rad rooted in trophy games that you could also check out, like the setting book Richter, the Rotten City, I think, or Candlelight, where you play ghosts trying to get away from the forest.
That is fab. That's a that's a good reminder. February equals Zine Quest. I do I have money? Do I have, that's just well, that's just a recurring daily thing. Do I have money? But more so for Zine Quest. Anyway, thanks very much, Sabine. Next, I'll turn to Stephen.
Hey there, I'm Steven. I do not have anything to plug because I don't really have an online presence outside of participating in these things. I think Jammy's just done actually a trophy type thing. I saw it on Itch. Check her out. There you go.
I'll check that and put. Because this sounds familiar. I think this totally happened, but I will definitely. I'll put a link if once I find it.
Plugs.
Yeah, plugs. It's all good. I'm trying to find it, but I can't because I just bought like a 60 game bundle to help someone out. So now I have to scroll through all my purchases. Anyway, I'll put a link down below to whatever that game. Because I know this happened. Okay, this did happen. But there'll be a link down below for all that. Last but not the least, Rob, hi.
Hi, I'm Rob. I use he, him pronouns, and I don't really have anything to plug either. Although I do stream occasionally games on Mixer under the username Treb Rudahan.
There'll be a link down below for all that.
So you can watch me get hilariously lost in video game environments.
That honestly sounds really fab. There we go. Thanks, Sabine. I did also just find an itch. In the Face of Our Despair, which is a trophy-ass name as it is. Group of Fey Guardians fighting a doomed war in a forest that falls to vampiric corruption. And Jamie's playing a lot of vampire stuff. Interesting. All right, cool. I'll put a link, all that, including to Rob's Mixer profile. All that's there. Before we jump into the game proper, because this session one, for those who don't know, Girl by Moonlight does take quite a bit of setup because there's a lot of like world building questions depending on the playset, and then we'll jump into characters, and then we kind of come back to the world, and then so primarily I'm imagining this is gonna be mostly setup. I think every time I've run Forge in the Dark stuff in the Gauntlet, I think I've only ever made it to setup plus some character stuff maybe once or twice. It's tricky trying to set all this stuff. Anyway, but before we actually properly do that, I want to talk about the safety tools that we're using for this series. I'll remind folks we do have a tab for lines and veils in our character keeper. Lines are things that just won't be crossed, like just won't show up in the fiction at all. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but like we're not going to concentrate on it. Like we'll fast forward over it, or it happens off screen, or it gets like a sentence or two, and that's it. And so living documents. So if folks think of something they want to add to the document, they can do that at any time. If we do roll into a scene where we feel uncomfortable for any reason, and any reason is perfectly fine. In fact, you don't have to explain what it is, but it could be why that is. It could be anything like a name, or even just like a certain tone of the scene, or even just the entire scene itself. This is what the X card is for. You can say you want to X card that either through our chat or on the Roll for Your Party, which I should link in the chat so everyone has that. Or you want to say you want to do the X on the video here, or just want to say out loud you want to X card that. I might ask some questions on what's being X carded, but no one gets a question if the card is played. If it's played, we'll respect that, roll back, and try something else. And finally, we do have an open policy here, which means that if folks need to step away from the table for any reason, and any reason is perfectly fine, whether it's an emergency, or you're more tired of your thought, you need to step away, or you want to call a break at any time, you can say, I want to pause, and we'll accommodate yourself. And yeah, we'll pick up when you come back. Anyway, as Sabine's pointed out, the role for a party room we have is the daily cuddly I never know how to pronounce that. Baby. I don't know. Okay. Basically, the point is that it's in contrast to this series. You. There we go. It's not ew. Oh God. That's coffee's doing things to me. But yeah, as Sabine's mentioned, it's kind of not in tone with the game we're playing, but it's gonna be a happy companion for the next couple of weeks. All right, so I guess let's do setup then for In Darkest Night. So if you go to the character keeper, there is like a tab for the equivalent of the crew sheet. It's not great. I made that in like 20 minutes yesterday before I had to play Beam Saber, but it'll do for now. That's where we'll keep the answers. So you can see there on the left, there's like a list of just that. There's going to be like the elements to like this game. But I guess for now, we'll decide like the highest broad setting ideas, because normally. Because if you go by the touchstone, which is Magica, we're gonna be like in an urban environment. It's a city, But if there's because I'm looking at the proposed pre-generated concept for In Darkest Night, there is just as an inky storm floods the metropolis, the Memorial Gang must confront Amaranth, former friend, fallen to the Dark Star, before she drowns the world in despair. That's kind of the tone of this setting. It is kind of about trying to find sliver of light in a sea of drowning darkness. It's all about dystopian shadow, dramatic irony, betrayal, and tragedy. And I just realized the question, it does ask where we are in the mundane world, so maybe the broad setting thing, but we'll figure that out later. But first, let's figure out the heart of night. That's kind of that is the high key sort of where is this darkness coming from? And the thing with the heart of night is that it's kind of an elemental force. It has its agents, absolutely. It has people who are corrupted by it, but unless you find the actual well where the heart springs forth or whatever, it is mostly going to be just a big malevolent force. So the first question is, what is the heart of night? And in the play sheet, not on the character keeper, there are some suggestions like an alien infestation, the rotting body of some dead god, a cold and distant star, parasites and sickness, an ancient curse. So those are kind of these suggestions. So being suggested money, which is the root of all evil, and at least is that how the Bible code goes? Some Bible translation, that's how it goes. But yeah, so that's kind of the pitch. It's kind of the heart of night is it's eldritch. It's not something you easily beat up with, I don't know, a chair. You don't have to have a chair as a weapon. You can, but you don't have to. But yes, anyone have ideas what's speaking out to them?
I mean, I like the ancient curse, something like that, something ancient.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be tentacly or something, but curses. I like curse.
Sorry, I thought I heard you unmute there, Steven. Did you want to add something to ancient curse, or do you have another idea?
No, I'm cool with the idea of an ancient curse. Okay,
so what would this curse be about? Why is it specifically a curse, and why is it manifesting this sort of darkness? Is it something it demands from human? Is there a demand from humans that's not been met, or is there just a condition that's just been met? We have unleashed darkness now. Or we can leave it to ancient curse for now and then come back to it.
I mean, I kind of like the idea that some condition was met, something somebody did, and then the curse was unleashed, whatever it is.
I like the idea of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying you should go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I like the idea that there was like some ancestral pact that doomed the world, and maybe kind of going with the tragic magical girl, maybe we have magical girl powers as descendants because we're the descendants of that bloodline distantly.
Ooh, definitely. We'll get. Yeah, I like that idea. Is everyone good with that? I'm gonna note that down.
Mhm.
Descendants of those who made the pact. Okay, so I'm gonna note that in the character keeper. Hopefully it fits. Yay! All right, cool. So that's be up for now. We can obviously flesh out as we play. Go on, Sabine.
Oh, I had a question if the reason why the curse came to be is because the pact was fulfilled or because it was broken. But we can flesh that
Ooh.
out later.
Yeah, maybe like we know there's a pact, and well, your character's like, because the thing is we're gonna have perpetrators, which is the folks carrying out the curse, and yeah, maybe it's like ambiguous of like we think it's maybe they think it's broken or maybe it's fulfilled. We'll figure it out, I guess. I kind of like the idea of like some condition has been met, that's why the curse is now back, like whether the pact has been broken or has been fulfilled. Like we promised you 1,000 years of peace. Those years are up, or something like that. But let's turn to perpetrators then. And again, living document, so feel free to like come back to it if you had ideas. Like, ooh, more stuff about ancient curse. So, oh wait, is there anything I missed? Oh no, I think I missed the. Hold
I
on.
think
There's
it's
what is
just-
its agenda?
Yeah, that's the one. That's why I missed it because there wasn't a line to write it in the sheet. So I forgot about it. But yes, there is a secondary after that. Is what is the curse agenda? And the examples here are to harvest human emotions, to pervert our bodies, to secretly repraise us, tear down our civilization, poison our hearts, drive us all to despair. Tried to quote SpongeBob there, but the quotes escaped me. Poison our water supply, burned our houses, and brought a plague into our houses. There we go. That's what the quote is. Pointless tangent aside, yeah. What do you think the agenda of the curse is? I guess the thing I just said is like, oh, let's keep it ambiguous. Oh no, we have to answer it.
I mean, to tear down our civilization is the obvious one, but I also like the idea of to drive us all to despair.
I like the despair one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe combined with the siphon emotion or stuff like that.
Yeah, like they feed in despair, so they want to drive us to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the curse to perpetrate itself feeds on despair, and so it has its perpetrators are going out sowing despair. It's like it's farming you.
Mhm.
Ugh. That's great.
But at least that means that it needs us.
At least, yeah. But yeah, who's its perpetrators then? So the examples they've got is an unknowable and ancient people, technicians and scientists. Ooh, there's a typo. I should put that down. Heroes turn to darkness, cultists and prophets, or heartless outsiders. So I guess like who are the baddies? I guess who are it's more human agents.
Heroes turn to darkness, or an unknowable and ancient people sound interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, if we combine them together, what if they're like just ancient magical girls?
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe we don't know if they're spirits or ghosts or if they're just what was left of them after they gave in to despair.
Oh, yeah, so that's what happens. Okay. Oh, this is some proper magical bullshit. Oh my god. At least for that one, they didn't know what happened when they gave into despair. It's just turned into the very things they're fighting. Here, it's okay. Ooh, I like this. Ancient magical girls given into despair. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Okay, so I have to start thinking about that. So now we turn to like the mundane world. So we've determined like where does the darkness gather, which is basically this is kind of be where our setting is going to be. And some of the examples it has, it also has to choose one or two, is a tangled metropolis, poverty and hardship, wealth and affluence, a society in ruins, a pristine and sterile world, a city cut off from the world. Or if anyone has an idea. This kind of determine where we're going to be.
I don't know. I'd like it to be some sort of pervasive, that you can have it everywhere in the affluent quarters and the poor quarters, because despair pretty much have it everywhere. Maybe we go with the metropolis, because pack people together tightly enough that will increase despair if they can get out.
How does that sound to everyone? It's a tangled metropolis. Sounds fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Tangled metropolis.
And working off something Sabine said, would also a city cut off from the world? Is there some reason that people can't leave the metropolis?
Say like a giant ghost veil preventing the death. Okay, no, we're not playing Blades in the Dark. That's not till next month. Yeah, I like the idea of it's a kind of a big sort of semi self-sufficient like metropolis, but it is cut off. Like it's hard to like walk away from the place, or something's cutting it off.
Maybe we're just told that we shouldn't leave the city, that because war has fallen into darkness, and outside the city, everything is darkness. Maybe it's not true. Who knows?
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of it's the city is isolated, and you're all just inside, just kind of like stewing in your own sadness. All right, so that's our mundane world. So what do its people hold sacred? And again, choose one or two. So it's got stuff like material things, hierarchies, control, hatred, ambition, reason, suffering, conflict. Oh, these are not fun things, huh? Yeah. If we're in a cut off, tangled city, like what would it hold sacred?
Material things.
Hmm.
And maybe, I don't know, hierarchies?
Yeah, I like hierarchies.
Hierarchies determined by material things?
Or material things determined by hierarchies. Like it's like in our world, it's kind of intertwined. If you have much, then you're on the top. But if you're on the top, you tend to have much.
This reminds me of, I don't know, some it's like you know how there's like these free to play video game shooters, and obviously if you sink money into that, the most what you get is like fancy costumes. So when you see someone with this fancy costume, it's like, oh, well, they've got money. They clearly have, because, and also they're dedicated to this game because this fancy costume was only on sale for a limited time. Wonder where I could get that. All I've got are like fatigues. That's kind of like the sort of vibe I'm getting from material hierarchies and material things. It is about like what you have and being dedicated to getting that, to getting those things. Material things, hierarchies. So, what is our world, mundane world, consider profane then? The examples I have there are bodies, love, emotion, difference, nature, sincerity, the past, generosity. I mean, I wouldn't consider any of them profane, but
I think nature, because people should be kept inside the city, so nature, bad.
Yeah, because material things aren't natural per se; they're made things. Like who knows what's the process that this mug came to be? It's not natural. It was someone designed the mug. And now I don't know if this mug this mug puts me in the hierarchy of things. I think this is actually wedding china. When I think about it, I don't know why we just have that in our cupboard. Anyway, yeah, nature with that. I was also just suggest like sincerity, or that might just be implied. We don't have to like enshrine as a rule. Actually, now that I think about it. What about yourselves, Rob, Steven? Have any other ideas for what they consider profane?
Hmm. I mean, I'm thinking something along the lines of generosity, like resources are precious, so don't just give them away.
Everything has a price.
Hmm.
Like whether that's be like a favor or actual money, or if you want this cup, you're gonna have to find like 5 cups that are not as good at it, but 5 cups of that equals to this 1 cup. Stop using stuff on my desk as examples. Like the next thing I'm gonna do is like, oh, like this Final Fantasy deck. It's a Final Fantasy deck, so it's worth something than just a boring old deck. Yeah, generosity makes sense, especially in this hyper capitalist city. Is that okay with you, Steven?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Generosity. Yeah, you can't afford generosity. It's too expensive. DuckTales is not boring, Sabine. It's not. It's probably worth more than this cup. Anyway.
Now that I'm looking at it, it's also a pretty racist cup, I guess.
Geez. Okay.
I have never looked at it closely.
God damn it. All right. So next is, who are we that hunt in the darkness? So this is about yourselves now. This is kind of like determines like what are the place of magical girls in this horrible, horrible world. So the first question is, what price did we pay for this power? So you didn't become magical girls because some beautiful sainted mascot creature came over there and found the love and warmth in your hearts. No, or unlike in Madoka where the creature did that, but turns out they're a manipulative asshole. Here, at least we know the price we paid, and the examples here in the sheet are duped into serving the darkness, the veil of reality torn aside, dark seeds blooming in our hearts, doomed heroes reborn, test subjects in dark experiments, or gave up our loved ones. God, these are all very pleasant stuff.
I mean, if it's dark seeds blooming in our hearts, perhaps we like the city exists in isolation because of the darkness, but we're almost like the first seed, like that through which like the cracks open into the city.
Ooh. So like the reason why the curse kind of like came back because you're descendants of those who made that pact, it blossomed through maybe some of you, not you three specifically, but like some of your fellow magical girls. Hence why some of them are acting like they're ancient magical girls reborn, because some sort of memory from the past came back, and it could happen to the three of you because you have these seeds blooming in your hearts.
Yeah, I was going to say the obvious one is Doomed Heroes Reborn, because we established earlier.
That works for me too.
It could be both.
It could be both. Like it absolutely could be both. I know this sheet. Oh wait, no, it doesn't say each one or two, but like who cares? We can do both. Andrew might be watching this. Andrew, I really like this game, but we're gonna stray from this very one tiny segment. I'll note down both because I think we can definitely mix both. Sabine, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good with both of them because I think the reason we are called to service might be that just we're descendants of the original perpetrators of the whole curse thing that might motivate us.
Hell yeah. All right. So the next thing is the role. What role do we play? Which is like, these are like your obligations, and these will be I'll note down all of the ones you choose. Each of you choose one, but you're gonna note it down as well in your playbooks. This is kind of like, what's your what role you play in like this series, I suppose. So the examples I have here are innocent hero, best friend, naive protector, embittered fighter, hapless dupe, weary veteran, hopeless victim, an agent of darkness, or an unwitting traitor. Each of you is going to choose one. They kind of help like determine your character as well. That's why we do this at the start. So
I
you choose
already
one
know
of-
my answer.
Oh my gosh, what do you got?
An agent of darkness.
Oh, of course. Okay. Gotta note that down. Anyway, everyone okay with that? Oh yeah. Darkness, of course you are. Okay, so we have one at least agent of darkness that's probably gonna turn to the other side at some point. Hope we'll see. What about yourself, Steven, Sabine? Oh, go ahead.
I think I would like to be either a weary veteran or a hopeless victim. I prefer the veteran, but if you want that, Stephen, I'd be happy to be a hopeless victim.
Great choice. Great sentence there. Happy to be the hopeless victim. Thanks, Role Playing Games.
I'm cool with that. I feel like I want to think on this, but I feel like I want to mix together, now that you brought attention to that, like hopeless victim and innocent hero.
Ooh. Yeah.
Cool, then I'll be the veteran.
Cool. So what's the... Oh, we'll come back to that then, Steven?
Oh, no. I mean, it says choose one or two, and I was like, I
Oh.
feel like those are the two I'm choosing.
Okay.
Oh boy,
I thought...
I'm looking at the shared obligations already.
Yeah, some of those I think we're just I think I'd like to X, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we'll move on to that one. For sure. Yeah, our shared obligations, where we all are brought together, where all are know each other. So the examples here are boarding school, internment camp, isolation ward, government lab, supporting others, maintaining appearances. Yeah. Do you want to just speak which one you want to X, Steven? So we get that off the
I mean,
table?
I feel like maybe
Most
we
of
don't need
them.
to do the internment camp like as like the far end of like things I'm not okay with, but if people are like that's the one for me.
Yeah, we don't have to pick exactly from that list. Like if you have like a different idea of like what obligation you all have that kind of brought you all together. Like
Kind of like the
even
boarding school.
Yeah, boarding school would be fine. The others are eh.
A boarding
Yeah.
school for the descendants of the original pact makers, maybe.
Or I think the idea is maybe there are also other people at the boarding school than us who aren't necessarily in on the whole thing, but yeah.
I mean, if this was done 1,000 years ago, there would be a plethora of descendants. We might just be the ones where the darkness bloomed in our minds. The others are not.
That's fair.
Yeah, so what traps you in this life, in this boarding school? Because you're descendants?
We probably have nowhere else to go.
Are you like...
Is there... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, are you like folks who necessarily... Maybe some of you are like in this school because you got lucky or because of scholarships or whatnot. You're someone sponsored you into the school. Someone with a lot of material stuff to throw around, or I guess you want to come up with your own reasons why you're here in this school. And nowhere else to go is fine. If there's no one has there's no like other way to
Like,
trap here.
I was gonna say, is there kind of building off of what you're saying? Is there some like of the upper echelon patron of the school who's sort of like in the kind of anime way, like impossibly wealthy and like like super judgmental of us, and they're possibly like either evil, or they're like the one ancient magical girl who's not who didn't turn.
I think I like that. Yeah, there's like
Yeah. Maybe we don't know what's their deal actually, but they seem to know a lot, and they're probably older than they look, and they look old from our perspective anyway.
Or is this like the anime look old, where they just have like gray hair and otherwise
Yeah,
they're just like...
of course. I mean, sure. It's not the wrinkled. It's a cool. I imagine that this person, whoever they
They
are,
have gray hair and
looks
glasses.
cool.
That's how you know they're old.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a gray streak in their hair or something.
Oh my god. All right, so they exist now in this school. We'll figure out who they are. Yeah, I think I think definitely you're all in this boarding school because there's nowhere else to go. And I guess, well, I'll leave it up to each of you how you came to this boarding school. For each character. That makes sense. And yeah, so transcendence, which is this game's term for magical growth transformation. So transcendence is when you switch from your mundane self to your most self-actualized self. Use the word self 2 times there. In short succession. So yeah, this basically where you transform for sure. And the questions here are kind of neat. It is just kind of like, just what does it feel like to transcend? What aspect of it is shared by everyone, and what is different for each of us? So like, I guess for how does it feel? I almost kind of want to leave that up again to each character. Like, I mean, you have different feelings as to like what this is like, but I am curious, like, what aspect of it is shared? Like, when you become magical, what kind of like, what's the thing what's a commonality between all magical girls?
So could this be something like we all manifest a weapon, or like we all become possibly beautiful and have this weird floaty hair? Or is that something else? We transform into mechas, or, I mean, I'm just asking. I don't know what it means really.
Mechas is the other series.
I mean, I think any of those work. I think it could also just be if you wanted like a shared sensation or something like that as well.
Oh, like we all seem to almost remember stuff that happened before.
Like, I'm just kind of thinking like in terms of like the transformation, like is the kind of transformation that like this kind of darkness almost sprouts out of us, like it's a living thing or a plant, and like then enshrouds us. And like that's kind of how we get the magical girl armor.
Ooh, yeah. So it kind of like encircles you, encapsulates you, and then you just kind of like blossom out of it.
Yeah.
All ready and ready to fight.
Yeah, I like that.
And G-Rob, are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. So that's shared sensation. But what is different for each of us? Like, I guess again, we'll leave it up to each character. Like, what's different? I mean, but your transcendence is an expression of your truest self. How? Like, is there like your transcendent form? Like, yeah, how does it reflect a part of you that is like your truest self?
I'd like to know more about my character actually before I decide on their true self.
That's fair. I think yeah, we'll punt that too when we do characters. How do we transgress against that which is sacred? What's your punk like? Screw capitalism. What's your avenue to doing that?
Might be the hierarchy thing, because we're at that point we go apart, we go outside of the hierarchy because we have powers suddenly that give us more agency than you would have usually in the hierarchy. I'm just suggesting that.
Yeah, I mean, what if, since we're at the boarding school, that like people under the age of like 18 just don't have like they're just like non-persons in the society.
Yeah, because until you become an adult, what power do you have? People buy stuff for you. You don't have anything.
Which is why we're all just like kept in these boarding school places.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Non-adults equal non-people. Jesus Christ. Yeah. All right. I'll note that down.
You wanted this dark.
Yeah, I could have chosen the mech one, but like or the Happy Sailor Moon one, but no. Honestly, the one I did want was the one Jammy's running on the weekends. That's the one I wanted to do, but like I didn't want to. Maybe could have done. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll do that later. Jammy's doing the weird conspiracy serial experiments lane, the internet as a 90s cyber dystopic entity. That kind of play set. Here we're just doing a sad one, which is also great. Like I'm curious. I want to run all these anyway at some point.
Yeah, if you ever do the Nanoha one, I'm definitely down for that.
Oh, Robin Max, who would have thought? Yeah. How do you represent that which is profane, though? Which
Well,
I guess the
yeah.
Oh,
There's
sorry.
a plant theme to the transformation, so
Yeah, say like nature, plants. Profane plant themes. Oh, all right, let's note that down for now. Is there anything else, Stephen, Sabine, you want to add to that? Or does that seems pretty straightforward?
I'm just in love with the plant themes.
Yeah, that works for me.
Hell yeah. Where do you hunt? Where do you like take down these these embodiments of darkness? So we got examples here, like a derelict district, a beautiful place, an underground network, a dark reflection of a place, or a dead place. Like, where do like these battles happen, and where do all these like creatures lurk that you go out there to like try and take them down?
I mean, do we want to have it close to home, like it's somewhere in the school grounds, or do we say, hey, we go out for this and clean the city of crime or something?
Well,
I
guess
thinking a dark reflection of a place, but that's kind of Persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like maybe there's some sort of mirror realm or something.
But yeah, like if you go underneath the school, you kind of go upside down. There's like an upside down version of the school underneath, or like an upside down city. No, I don't know if like the prompt literally is like meant to be like a literal dark
or a
reflection,
dead place. It could be the ruins of the old, the civilization that the ancient magical girls came from.
And maybe they are on the school grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Love to have eldritch secrets in high school. All we had in my school are people who hate the royalty. That kind of story about that. Don't say that on screen.
But that's everybody, so.
Yeah, but the way this. Okay, no, I'm not going to tell the story here while being recorded. It's kind of ludicrous. Yeah, I like the idea of like we are kind of like we are having this battle over like the ruins of the past, because this is technically the past's kind of fault for making this pact. Now we have to like either fulfill because it got broken, or now we have to like deal with the ramifications of it. I like the idea of like, because imagine, because it's a tangled city, it's a kind of silly like I'm imagining something like London where you just kind of build over old places, or you've got these like old places. Yeah, Rob's making a face there. Yeah, of course, yeah. Of course, that's how I treat London. Have you been to London recently? It's weird.
Or Edinburgh. There's like bit of sun under Edinburgh.
All right. Any major European metropolitan city basically is kind of like that. But London's kind of like comes to mind because it's such a weird place where you just build over everything. Old places abut new places. Ancient church next to an Apple store. What's up with that? Is that okay with folks? That's how we interpret a dead place. You're in the ruins of
Sure.
the past.
Yeah.
Cool. Dead place equals the ruins of past civilization. Cool. Now we determine who else is hunting. Like who else is there? So you're hunting down like the remnants of this ancient curse, but you got rivals. Or I guess who else is like using? Who are you fighting over? Taking down this darkness because in the actual playtest, like they're described the hunters in the night. They're described as the protagonists are not the only ones hunting. There is a rival pack of hunters that is established during setup. These hunters are not a threat to be reckoned with and likely include former friends or allies of the protagonist. It's not simply competition. It's personal and spiteful. It's a hard-fought contest over the dark, over meager resources, so it's said. And the examples here in the sheet are like a rival crew of magical girls, dark predators feeding on their own kind, agents of the mundane world, noble heroes, desperate survivors, naive victims. Who's kind of like the group that's like against you? Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I like the idea of agents of the mundane world. Like there's like some sort of MIB or whatever that's concerned about this magical girl stuff that's going on.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know, but that would be they would be rogue agents, right? Because this is a boarding school run by this ancient person, and I don't think they would appreciate mundane agents hunting around in their ruins.
Well, I don't think that like I think that like when like the mundane world, like we're not the mundane world, we're the like magical girl fighters, that like these are the actual people that work for the hierarchy of the city officially. And they view us as much a threat as to the city as the creatures invading it.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Cool.
Sorry, I just wrote down in the sheet the feds. I should extrapolate on that. Mundane world. Who see magical girls as a threat? They're like magical girls are not here to take care of the curse. They are part of the curse. Interesting. Cool. And last but not least, what is our tragic fate? How does it end? What will ultimately be our undoing? Like the way this translates in Magical Magica is that eventually girls will succumb to despair and become the horrible witches that other girls are competing over because what they're fighting helps keep entropy at bay. That's the dark fate of girls in Magical Magica. Spoilers. So I'm sorry for anyone who might be watching this. Or they get over it. They find a solution at the end of that show anyway. But yeah, what is the tragic fate that awaits?
I have an
magical
idea
girls?
that we will be the cause of the city's destruction just for a city to be built over it. That we're just like these layers of ruined cities being destroyed by the fight between magical girls of this generation and all the past generations.
Wow.
So it might be up to us to break this circle, but we probably won't.
No,
because we have an agent of the darkness among us.
All I was gonna say is we only have 3 sessions to wrap it up, so which that's another thing entirely. All right, is that okay with everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've been here for an hour, so let's take like a 9-minute break because I need to pee, and then we're gonna do characters. And then we'll step away from the series sheet and we'll do characters. So I'll be back in 9 minutes.
There's nothing inside. Will it unleash me, burning down the walls? Is there a way for me to break? I'm a sharpshooter at Paul's masquerade. I'm in both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, have no face to show. Please don't take off my mask, my disguise.
All right, looks like everyone's back. Just want to do a quick check-in. Everyone's still doing okay?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So now, yeah, we go into characters.
Whee!
Yeah, the important part, for sure. Let's see how let's see how this is the most important part. Okay, so let me just look up exactly what to do first. Okay, character creation procedure when making characters. Yeah, sorry, Sabine, everyone heard you. When making characters, start by pulling in relevant information from the series playbook and recording it to the assigned place on your sheet. I guess I should ask first, like, have if you've not done so, I'll give you like a couple minutes to look through the available character playbooks and see what kind of like speaks to each of you. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's 7 of them available. I can go through each of them if y'all need. Probably go through them for anyone who might be watching this. For sure. There is the I have to do a lot of scrolling. There is the Enigma, which is a mysterious ally and dramatic hero, aloof, secretive, graceful. The Enigma leads a double life. The thing is, yeah, with the Enigma, other PCs don't know that they're that. It is kind of like Janus to the max, so to speak. The Enigma has, your transcendent and mundane selves lead separate lives. No one knows that they're the same person, and also your transcendent self has a mask. It's very cool. There is the stranger, who is like a cold and distant luminary. They're clever, withdrawn, and focused. The stranger can access secrets and knowledge that others cannot. They are kind of like, they're not explicitly a robot girl, but they're kind of the robot person, but they're kind of like that. They're meant. Oh wait, no, I think that's the outsider, not the stranger. The stranger's just weird. Actually, no, yeah, they are meant to be just strange and clever. This focus means that the stranger struggles to express their feelings to others. So often, the stranger feels them very deeply. They're not used to humanity. So yes, they are the robot, the robot girl playbook. There's the time traveler. You are a secretive oracle and dedicated friend, ominous, strange, full of impossible knowledge. The time traveler seeks to defy fate. Usually, they seek to defy the faith of a specific person. This is a very specific character from Magica. Can't say who because that's a spoiler. Although I guess saying that one of the characters like that is that's a spoiler in itself. I'm sorry. That's the time traveler. Harmony is where is it? Harmony is a relationship personified. You are kind of like two people in one. Your relationship, two people whose love has bound them into a single form and identity. This is explicitly a Steven Universe playbook, for sure. Should you ever be separated, all actions you make are desperate until you're reunited, which is fab. There is the guardian, who is kind of like, I guess, the team mom, the team parent, so to speak. They are a vigilant protector, patient healer. They look out for their friends, live by code, work to keep others on the right path. They are absolutely meant to be the parent. There is the outsider, who is a renegade with a dark past and something to prove. You are kind of like the if we're in a shonen anime, you are the angsty rival who's kind of like the secondary protagonist, for sure. Reckless, jaded, combative. You will have an antagonistic relationship with your allies. They fight to prove their superiority as anything else, though they'll never admit it. They just want to belong. Ah, poor outsider. And the last one is the unlikely hero, who is just a regular person, unproven prospect, heartfelt companion, honest, hopeful, supportive. They do their best to keep up their companions, but they don't have any powers. They're they're helpful. They want to be a part of this, but they don't have powers yet. They are the Madoka, so to speak. If honestly, most of these, not the Harmony playbook, all of these kind of like, they fit a specific Madoka character for each of these, which is, I mean, the time traveler is explicitly Madoka character, but like, yeah, so that's him like the hero. So I'll give you all a minute to like look through like the abilities and whatnot, because there are two kinds. There's the normal abilities and the transcendent ones. And when you create characters, let's flip to the character creation. Some of this PDF. No, you're gonna fill out your role and background as well as your obligation from the series playbook. Add a detail to your obligation that's specific to your character. So, say if you're in a boarding school, maybe one of you is the class president. Another might be a teacher's assistant, or even a janitor. Or if you're like just a student, maybe you're part of a club, or you work in the library, or maybe you're just a class clown, or the class weirdo. All right. So I'll give you a few minutes. But if you want to like shout out what playbooks you're interested in so that everyone knows.
I'm interested in the stranger or the time traveler, I guess.
Outsider.
Stephen, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm interested in the unlikely hero.
Hell yeah.
I think I'll try the stranger then.
Right, let me hide this character. No. Right, if you see there's a thing called Eclipse. That is kind of like it's basically your darkest self from Monster Hearts, for sure. Bad stuff happens when you go into Eclipse, and yeah, kind of bad stuff, I suppose.
So I'm noting, I'm just looking through this. I'm just check that it's meant to be here. All of the like attribute XP tracks are set at 3 out of 6.
Oh
that...
yeah, I did that.
Okay.
I usually do that when I run Fortune Dark Stuff for the Gauntlet, because
Okay.
otherwise, yeah, I would like everyone to have the sensation of filling out those trackers at least
Okay.
before the end of the month. Yeah, that's not normally how it goes.
Now I have a question, because this is magical girls. Do we have to be girls?
No,
Okay.
it's just the name of the genre, but absolutely not. Let me actually read up a thing at the start. There's a specific thing I think addressing, like, no, the genre is about magical girls because that is a defined thing, but like you absolutely do not have to be girls. Yeah, so once you picked out a playbook, yeah, you fill in your role, background, your obligation from the series playbook, which is, the boarding school. You can add detail of obligation specific to your character. Then you fill out like the action ratings that you have from the playbook you chosen, and you add one extra. This game is quite stingy with action dots, I gotta tell you. You only add one extra that relates to your role. And it must be in an action rate, and it must be in an action rating with no dots assigned. So the maximum rating for any action or character creation is just 1.
Okay, and the role is what we were talking about earlier.
Yes, you're the innocent hero
Right.
/
Okay.
victim, like, for yourself.
And let's see, what page do you know? Because just to clarify what like the difference between, for me, what the difference between like confess and forgive is. Like, where do they describe the action dots?
I put a description of what each they do in the character keeper. If you hover over
okay.
forgive and confess, it
Thanks.
it should break down like what exactly those actions do.
I think I'm going to change my playbook to the time traveler, because the stranger, that's a bit too close to character I played before, and I would get confused. So I'm a time traveler, and I want to prevent somebody's I'm really torn now if I want to prevent Stephen's character's fate or Rob's character's fate, because they're both so interesting.
Well, we can find out after they've introduced their
Oh, but I
characters.
have an idea.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I think I want to prevent whatever is going to happen to Stephen's character.
That's fair. I think I am going with the it's good because I think I am going with the do we start with any playbook abilities?
Yeah, you choose one special ability and one transcendent ability from your playbook.
Okay.
Which you don't have any,
Yes.
unlike the hero. Actually, I should double check if there's anything special in your specific part. Let's see.
I would immediately mark one transcendent ability when I switch only mortal to hero's destiny.
Hmm.
So I'm effectively making up for the loss for the not having the ability now later.
Hmm.
But yeah, I am taking the worth saving when you run foolishly into danger and no one comes to help you. Mark experience.
Oh my god! Of course. The abilities. There's a tab for abilities. I think that's where they are. If you want to just like copy paste from there, I think it should work. Hopefully, you do start with only mortal. Because you get one extra D when rolling social link, but the fun thing with this playset is you don't even have social links. So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, in this playset, social link is there. I think you can have social links. I think because the thing is, social link is replaced by have a disagreement. So, which is interesting.
I mean, so is this
But,
like I feel like is that just like oh go ahead.
Oh, I just saw like all abilities that apply to social link also apply to have a disagreement.
Oh,
So
okay.
that plus 1D is still fine.
Yeah.
It's just that the flavoring is different. Rolling a social link that's something else entirely. But in this playset, it's yeah.
Hi. Do you only get one action point to spend on your stats? Is that, am I reading that correctly?
Yes. Yeah. No, Jamie asked this as well. It's like, is this right? And I looked through. It's like, yeah, that seems right. No, they really, because the thing is, in this game, you clear all stress at the end of a mission. So so spending stress to get dice is kind of like, I think, very much encouraged because you just clear it anyway. Although not for this playset. It depends on the role how much stress you clear at the end of a job or mission.
Stress also like because I'm looking at it like it eclipsing out doesn't. It's not like traumaing out in that like you're effectively like bringing your character closer to their retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because when you max out of stress in this game, you eclipse out. You enter your darkest self, so to speak. But you're still in it. Whenever you would spend stress, instead you lose stress. But if you lose all your stress before escaping your eclipse form, your character's gone. So it's a gamble. Yeah, like your character's like gone forever. So it's not like in other Forging the Dark stuff where you accumulate like trauma, and when you reach your fourth one, your character's retired. No, when you eclipse, you're still in it. But if you keep going until you've lost all the stress you gained, then actually let me read that out because it is here in the PDF. Right. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Even the heroic protagonists have a dark side. When you fall into eclipse, that dark side takes over. When you reach or exceed your stress limit, roll for eclipse using your lowest attribute. And you still go into eclipse, but you get benefits depending on what you roll when you go into eclipse. Oh wait, no, yeah. If the results is 6, you hold on at the edge of darkness. So you're still you don't go into eclipse, you're just barely there. You roll 4 or 5, another member of the crew can push themselves to keep you from succumbing to your inner darkness. But if no one does that, you go into eclipse. And when you eclipse, play into the prompt listed under eclipse on your playbook. Instead of accumulating stress, you erase it from your sheet. When your stress reaches 0, your character succumbs completely to darkness. You can choose to either have your character die, disappear, retire from the action, or they can become a champion of the darkness with the director pulling their strings. So that's an option if you you go into eclipse and you lose all stress. But obviously, if you want, you can play to escape your eclipse, which all prompts should have that. Yeah. While in eclipse, you do not clear stress, or your an eclipse can carry over after the end of a mission. Because it says here, like, while in eclipse, you do not clear stress or your transcendence track at the end of a mission. If an effect causes you to recover stress while in eclipse, same downtime, you increase your stress instead, which is fun. I just realized in this revised sheets, you only need 3. There's only 3 in the transcendence track, but in this character sheet, there's 4 dots. That tells you when was the last time I paid attention when I made this character sheet. So ignore that 4th dot. Then I goddamn have to remake this sheet. Ugh.
Okay, so that means that I only get 3 dots, right? In all.
Yeah, in
Oh,
all action
okay.
rating points.
Okay, what can you explain what these mean, or is that, do I find it somewhere what that means?
If you hover over, you see, if you hover over each action rating, see,
Oh,
so
okay, cool. Thank you.
yeah, because like this specific hacks probably has the most different action ratings compared to all the other ones. I guess I don't know any other Blades game that has Forgive as an action rating. So another thing, once kind of like done with like the preliminary character stuff, you don't have to do this now, but start thinking about it. Each of you are going to create 2 secondary characters. One of them is going to be a friend, and one of them is going to be a rival. Um, in this playset, in Darkest Night, rivals are defined as let's see, it says here each protagonist authors a friend as normal, but their enemy must be a member of the dystopian authorities, or a rival hunter, or a former magical girl fallen to darkness. These allies were once trusted friends, or these enemies were once trusted friends or allies, but betrayed you to forward their own interests. That's a that's a thing to like keep in mind. But you don't have to do them. But we don't have to do them later. I'm just saying them now so that you can start thinking about ideas.
Also, Sabine, I wanted to ask, since some of the premises set this up, are you a time traveler from the future, or are you a like time traveler from a past like incarnation of this war?
I think I might be a time traveler from this time because I can't travel in time. I've seen I've been to the future, obviously, because that's what I can do, but that doesn't mean that I actually have reached that far into the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I might be a person who's just missed a year or two in the future, who's just seen a year or two in the future and has come back. I mean, I don't have to be like a harbinger who comes from hundreds of years in the future. That seems weird. But I like the idea that I've been at some. I mean, we're only playing 4 sessions, so I could have been just at some catastrophic point in the future, or had a vision even of that, what was going to happen. Also, I can shift the flow of time around a bit. I totally can do that. I can even mess with Leandro's clocks. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, that is actually ridiculous. I saw that and it's like, yeah, once per mission, when the director advances a clock, you may say, no, the clock just doesn't advance.
yeah, I like that. Because that means that I'm not just a time traveler, I'm a time manipulator. Now I need a name.
And yeah, if there ever is a question of who acts first, it's you. Love that move.
Yeah, but I can't just take one. This is a game of hard choices already.
Yeah.
What's the difference between my mundane name and my true name?
Your true name, I guess, is kind of like your superhero name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like, you know how Sailor Moon is their sailor name. Their mundane name is Usagi. I've never watched Sailor Moon. I should admit that. You know, there's the Sailor Scouts and there's their mundane selves. Yeah, normally, Girl by Moonlight, you'd have social links and you gather them up in a downtime activity. You'd have number of social links on a person, and you can spend links to recover stress or ignore harm or grant or assist without spending stress or prevent their eclipse. We don't have that in this playset. No social links. Wow, we have some very pleasant true names here in the in this in this boarding school. Oh, it reminds me. I should have bumped up the playbook XP as well. Yes, I'll just do it for everyone. All right. I think I'll give folks like maybe 3 more minutes, unless people need more time.
I'm
5 more
most
minutes.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm mostly done. I think. Because
Okay.
just to check, we're not making the side characters yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Well, well, it says here that like it kind of comes even before you name your character, but like I'd like to get them out when we're introducing them,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna put secondary characters in the Darkest Night tab. Just go to the bottom. There's like a big box for secondary characters.
Hmm.
And also, like after we're done with like characters, we introduce them and written our promises. We will also have to pick a special ability for the series.
So I can't seem to get the picture up.
Yeah, you need a link that ends with like, a JPEG or PNG.
Okay. Let me just check what format it actually is. JPEG. Where's the? Are there examples of look, background, and role somewhere?
Not really. Let me see.
The role we picked already, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's because there's no like there aren't any assumed settings, so it's kind of hard to like give example role backgrounds.
Okay. Where is the? Sorry, I lost my place in the PDF. Oh no. Okay, cool. Folks, ready to introduce characters? I'll give you all a bit more time if you need it.
I think I still need to pick my 2 NPCs.
No worries. Yeah.
Where do I put them if I have them?
In the you don't have to put them now. Actually,
okay.
what I do is I'll
Cool.
ask you about them, and then I'll put them down. They're in the
Okay.
they're meant to be in the Darkest Night tab. There's a big box
Oh.
for secondary characters
Cool.
underneath missions.
I see. Okay.
Actually, since we're close to like the top of the hour again, and I really need to pee, do you mind if I call 5?
Okay.
Cool. Right, I'll call 5, and I'll put on the Persona music again. BRB.
Where have you been searching all along and facing twilight long and long without the without a sign, without grasping it? The real question to be asked: where have I been? I'm a sharpshooter. Masquerade, hiding both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dawn. Moments of calm, nothing left to be found. A mirror right in front of me is where I found an empty glass, reflecting that's a tree. Still it was the two I need them last. I'm a sharpshooter. Apples masquerade, hiding both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, chained down to my core. Please don't take off my mask, my place to hide. I can't tell you how to see me. Just a cage of bones. There's nothing inside. Will it always be burning down the walls? Is there a way for me to break? I'm a sharpshooter. Apples masquerade, hiding both face and mind, all free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, have no face Where have you been searching all along and facing twilight home without the without a sign, without grasping it? The real question to be asked: where have I been? I'm a sharpshooter. Apples masquerade, hiding both face and mind, but free for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dawn. Moments of calm, nothing left to be found. A mirror right in front of me, that's where I found an empty glass, reflecting as a tree. Still it was the two who told I need them last. I'm a sharpshooter. Apples masquerade, heart in both face and mind, will wait for you to draw. I'm a sharpshooter, chained down to my core. Please don't take off my mask, my place to hide.
All right, I had to stop that at some point. As relaxing as it was to just listen to that. Hey, perfect timing. Hey, Rob.
Hi.
All right.
I've just been here. I'm working out some stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I know basically who my two secondary characters are. I just need names.
Okay. Well, they don't have to be terribly fleshed out. Even if you just say like just the pitch. The thing is, I doubt we're gonna get to like the most we'll probably get is like I don't know, detailing the anime opening to the show we're doing tonight. We'll see. We got like nearly an hour. Because I know you have a hard out in less than an hour, Rob. So what we'll do is like we'll introduce our characters, we'll detail promises, secondary characters, and then we need to pick a special ability and a transcendent special ability from the series sheet, and then we'll detail the anime opening and show what our characters look like in the opening of this, and then that'll be it for tonight. How's that sound?
Mhm.
Good. Cool. All right, so let's get to know these characters. Who wants to go first? Usually I go by order of character keeper, but but yeah, we'll throw it out. Who'd like to go first? If not, I will just go by some order.
Sure. What are we introducing? Are we just introducing the characters here?
Yes, just your characters.
Yeah, I'm playing Anemone. She, her. She is. I kind of combined the two roles into being the hopeful ingenue.
Oh no.
She is. I was kind of thinking through, like, I just decided to lean it all the way, like, because I just suddenly got the inspiration from Wolf's Rain, if anyone's seen that.
Great. People should watch Wolf's Rain.
She is a magical girl grown from the ancient blood taken by the headmistress, and not from, but by, and well, maybe from, and grown and created to for some purpose in this current incarnation of the cycle. However, she has not seemed to manifest any powers as of yet. But I am worth saving. So you allies get roll plus 1d when they protect me from consequences.
Although if no one does,
Yeah.
Anemone gets XP. So
Yeah.
I'm curious then, like, are you the first of like your kind, as in grown from ancient blood, or are there others like you think?
Oh, it's interesting. I'm wondering if that there's some sort of like, this is terrible. I wonder if there's just like this army of like mechanized units, because by the feds we set up, if there's this army of mechanized units that are just like creatures like me grown from like the blood of like these ancient magical girls, and then just used as like shock troopers by the metropolis.
Oh my god.
I'm
God.
sorry, I just feel like I'm always introducing like the most horrible things of anyone to the setting.
Yes. I seem to remember the first game we played together, Steven. You were playing a right old piece of work. By the second session, just shooting people who Jesus. Anyway, yeah, if folks are okay with that, I'm down for that. I like the idea of like these like people like you are kind of like just grown to kind of be like shock troopers, but maybe our headmistress is like, no, you're the feds are kind of wasting this whole process by just creating, expendable troops. They're from
I feel like maybe it's a thing that like whenever they send out regular humans to fight this, like all the regular humans are always the one that just like get killed off first as the extras, and the mech troopers are the only ones that actually stand a chance of like not dying when they're hunting these things.
Oh my god. That's great. How do you feel about that, you Anemone?
I feel sad, and I actually think my impossible promise is going to be to free all of the beings like me from their captivity.
Oh, the thing with promise is you make that of the other
of
players.
other characters. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like I still have that as my impossible promise. Even though it's not mechanical.
That's fair. That's fine. We can say like that's your belief or drive, because that's one of the things that get you XP if you express beliefs, drives, role, or background. Yeah. So like, why do you think you haven't transcended yet compared to like your peers?
Oh, I think that I feel like it's the kind of trope that like when like they take measurements of me, I'm clearly displaying like off the charts, like MG levels. But like I fail to like manifest them in any significant way. Like I feel perhaps that I haven't been in like, unlike the other characters, I haven't faced whatever it is that's supposed to trigger me and send me into like transcendence.
Yeah, because you probably you were grown, you had like a fairly set life. I actually do have more questions of that. But when you said like, oh, ratings off the chart, I immediately thought, oh, you have a high midichlorian count. Okay, I get you.
Well, like I'm just always like, oh, there's like, see the sine wave? That's like, I feel like that's always an anime, like the sine wave that happens whenever like a character manifests their powers in like the lab like monitoring them.
Yeah, it's there. It's just how do we manifest it? I get you. What's your relationship with your creator like? How do you feel about the headmistress? Because we do have a character connected to her already.
Yeah, I think she is deeply critical of me and is always expressing her disappointment.
I get the feeling she doesn't express praise much. I get the feeling.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's kind of most the questions I have. I'm wondering if you want to detail your secondary characters now. Actually, let's do it now while we're still on you. Who are the like two characters here? Who's your friend and who's your rival?
Yeah, I think the friend is Miss R, the school nurse / amoral researcher. She's cheerfully amoral.
Ah, that specific trope. All right, I see exactly who that is. Okay. All right. Okay. I already really like her.
Like I assume that like she's actually her history is that she used to work for some government program, but now she's like here as a nurse for the students.
Used to work for Gov. Now nurse to students. Brackets why? And 4 question marks. There we go. Cool. Who's your rival?
Let's go with MK-62. A mechanized soldier and who hates me because they love me.
Ha! Of course. Because they of course they do. It's not like I have any feelings for you or anything. No, nothing. I do want to point out that like, we're gonna come to probably to Rob next. Their character does literally have a special ability called Baka, which is just kind of delightful.
I didn't take that one.
Maybe someday. Yeah, all right, cool. I think that's all I got now for Anemone. I might have some questions sometime in the future, but I think everyone's got should have a good picture of them. I'm gonna move to. Actually, no. I said I wouldn't go by character keeper order. So who wants to go next?
I mean, I can go next.
Cool.
Because I have ideas. I don't have many ideas for promises, but I have ideas for the NPCs. I have an idea who my character is. So to introduce him, his name is Isidro Pale. He goes by the hero name of End because he's a goth and he's still a teenager, so he's a bit overly dramatic. He also has traveled, has been to the future actually, and wasn't all that pleasant. And I think that is linked to Anemone and her dark fate and what she will become once she transcends.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And her thing line is off the charts. So maybe it's better that she does
thing line.
Actually. So I think I'm here to either prevent her entirely from transcending or to guide her to transcend in the right way, or what I think is the right way.
So do you think Anemone is meant to bring balance to the force, but instead might leave it in darkness? I just saw Revenge
I
of the Sith recently. I'm sorry.
no, I mean that's actually not too bad. I think Anoni is meant to bring destruction, but there's this hope because she's so powerful that she might change things.
Ooh.
Actually, that she might draw things back from the brink, but it's a small chance, and I don't know that if Isidro is that hopeful. We'll see.
Ooh.
I mean, he's calling himself End, so he's probably not that hopeful.
Oh, was he like that before or after he went into the future?
He was. I think he was after. That was mostly after. I mean, he fought a lot. I have the background of very veteran, so I think he lived a bit through the whole post-apocalypse or during apocalypse, or everything is going down. Yay! And now I know how to time travel, and maybe I might change this, and it's all on me, saving everything,
Oh
so it can still be horrible. Yay! Do I want that? Maybe. I don't know. Well, yeah. My family is my family background is I have an arcane family tree, which means we're an ancient family. Of course, we are very well-to-do, very well regarded in the hierarchy. I have a totally non-racist and smiling cup now. You see? Look. Well, yes, and he has family obligations. They expect him to be there for functions and stuff like that.
Ooh. So it's like your family. Yeah, they're big and they're well-to-do. They're like in the
Yes.
hierarchy. They have
yes.
a lot of cups.
Oh yes, they have a lot of cups, and that brings me to my rival enemy, which is my sister Yura. She is a high-ranking member of the military, not one of these mech things that get thrown. That they're basically cannon fodder. Be honest, she's more like a general who tells the cannon fodder where to go.
Ooh. Can you write down her name in the chat so I can?
Sure, I can do that.
Oh.
Yura Pale. I don't know. She's probably not a general right now, but commander or something.
Totally an officer.
Totally an officer, and she thinks I am weird, not in the good way, but in the way that will leave me destitute and without friends. And I should go and make friends and think of how I will bring wealth to the family eventually.
Thinks he's a slacker. Okay.
Yeah, she might not be totally. I mean, he likes to sit around and listen to morose music.
He's a man after my own heart.
It's probably because he saw all these weird shit in the future.
Okay, well, yeah, he has a more reasonable reason to mope than me for sure. Then,
well, maybe not. And the person he is friend is a girl called Tandy. She is she has no family background. Actually, she's come from nowhere. She's just at the school because she has to go somewhere, and because she's a genius, of course. She goes through all the subjects like, is this supposed to be hard? People are trying to make it hard on her, and she just breezes the whole thing off. And the weird thing is that he doesn't know what happened to her in the apocalypse.
Oh, so Isidro kind of like has an idea for most characters, specifically in boarding school, but like Tandy's a mystery.
Yeah, and that's intriguing. Also, she's so oblivious to the whole norms and stuff like that, and that I think he loves that. Well, maybe not loves, but not actively despises.
All right, we brought it down a level.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, he seems fun. I'm looking at his picture. He's holding a chess piece. That's how you know he's smart.
Yes, he is very smart.
Cool. All right.
Smart.
I think, we have a very good picture then of Isidro. Love to be playing in an anime. Last but not the least, Rob, tell us about your character.
So I am playing Mao Kingdom. She is the daughter of the headmistress. She is basically a bit of a troublemaker. Because her mother has expectations of her and has been very strict about those expectations to the point that Mal doesn't really wants to be as little what her mother wants her to be as possible. And I think she became Agent of Darkness because the voice of her magical girl self offered power and respect for the stuff that she's not getting. So she accepted that, but she's come around to the idea that you know what, I don't like this cycle that I'm seeing, and I'm going to tear it down.
Ooh. I'm curious about the Agent of Darkness role. Like, are you still kind of like are you in active rebellion now, or are you still kind of like, would these perpetrators think you can still go to their side?
So I think I recently turned visibly turned and joined the good guys in a fight.
Ah, okay. I get that. Probably in the previous season, you were kind of an antagonist, but clearly like a fan favorite, and you can turn to good. You just you got the inclination, and you probably some sort of season finale. The previous season is finally when you did it, and this is the start of a new. I'm thinking too hard about this, but but hopefully that made sense.
So my two characters. I should say my obligation. Also, another way of just sticking it to mom is that I am the on-campus victor, which is basically like if there's something that you're not supposed to have, or that you're not some problem that you need taken care of that isn't exactly something you should be looking for help with, then you can come to me.
Of course. What's your mom's name, actually?
Ava.
Ava. I understood that reference, Rob. Don't worry, I get you. Sorry, it's a reference to a thing we played in half a year ago. All these damn kingdoms. Yeah. Before you get to two characters, you have your playbook. The Outsider comes with an ability, which is something to prove. Choose another character. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I chose Anemone because they seem to have some sort of connection to my mother. They have that. My mother has some interest in them. So I'm kind of jealous, even though I don't know. I shouldn't be, but.
I just want. Oh God, the complexes in play here. God. When we get to promises, I do want to know how Emily thinks about that. How cognizant she is of this rivalry. The unlikely hero. Oh, go ahead.
All right. So, my friend is Casey Miller, who is basically the Veronica Mars of the school, the teen sleuth, who has occasionally come to me for usually because her case leads to me, because I'm part of the problem, or because she needs somebody with certain certain resources to help her out. And we had a sort of like, friendship rivalry going on. And I think I kind of like her, and that's part of the reason I came around to the good guy side. I like her. She is poking her nose into things that she shouldn't be at this point, and I'm kind of worried for her. I'm not going to tell her that though.
Or why wouldn't you? It's not like you care about her or anything. I'm not going to say it. I'm not. Okay. Who's your other enemy? Because I know, like in the play sheet it says like just enemy, but in the PDF it says rival. But you can absolutely have an enemy because rival is a specific thing for you.
I think the rival is Petra Hawkins, the hall monitor, who is more literally my rival because they're always trying to catch me in the act of something I shouldn't be doing.
So one thing as a reminder for In Darkest Night is that your enemy must be a member either of the authority, dystopian authorities,
Okay.
a rival hunter, or a former magical girl fallen to darkness.
Ooh. It could still be Petra. Maybe you used to work with them.
Maybe she's secret. Maybe she's an infiltrator to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even when you were an agent of darkness, you were not the two of you weren't fans of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can still be. Yeah, I like it
because there were still rules on that side, and I didn't play by them.
Trying to catch. All right, I love this. Hall monitor / agent of darkness, which is essentially a hall monitor. Jokes. Cool. I was trying to catch Mal out. Okay. All right. I'll put them in the. I'll put down the secondary characters later in the sheet. But first, let's do promises. Each protagonist writes a promise for each prompt on their sheet. So, say, just to call out a playbook that wasn't picked, the stranger has 2 promises, which is a promise of growth and a misguided promise. Each promise relates to a specific protagonist. You're going to pick a different character for each. Playing towards these promises will earn the protagonist XP at the end of the session. You don't need to complete them. Just show them in play, and they can be rewritten or replaced during Fallout or between sessions. So like a post-mission sort of thing. So, yeah.
Where are those in the sheet?
Oh, they're not in the character keeper. They're in the play sheets in the PDF, in the folder. If you go to like look at yours, the outsider.
If you look at the lines for promises, you'll see little prompts underneath them.
One of them is just a promise to your rival. It's amazing. The other one is a competitive promise.
Yeah. I have 2 I'd like to pitch, and if people want to like modify them, feel free. But for my naive promise, I will save Mal from the darkness within her. And for my impossible promise, I will prove to the Isidro that the future is yet to be written.
Of course, you've defined it as impossible. So now,
Yes.
Of course. Of course. Is that okay with yourselves, Rob, Sabine?
Mm-hmm.
They sound like fun promises that absolutely will be played into. Sorry, just adjusting my seat there. All right, actually, while you're doing that, I'm gonna put the secondary characters in the sheet, or at least these terrible notes I've written. Oh, I forgot I wrote that. I did write down, now nurse the students. Why? from Miss R. I'm gonna actually no, I'll keep that there. That's fun.
I think I've got mine.
Ooh, what you got?
I've got Tumal. I will not let you fall into despair, which is my forgotten promise because it was in another timeline, and I've made it. I know it, but I think Mel doesn't because she maybe wasn't there, or maybe she was. I don't know.
Maybe like in the future when you made this promise to Mal, because she's already fallen into despair, and I just have this shot of like just before you went back in time, you and this other Mal who looks who does look like she's
I
on despair.
imagine that like maybe we see you like thrusting forward with a spear or sword into like a monstrous Mal's
Yes.
chest.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and that's why it's forgotten. And I will tell her, of course, eventually, because it seems like a good idea.
Seems like.
Yes, and my paradoxical promise to Anemone is I will protect you from the best moment of your life.
Wow.
Cool.
That's so much. That's so much. So basically, in the future, in this dark future, Anemone was living her best life.
I don't know, but it was definitely the best moment of her
Yeah,
life.
you
when she
know,
found her
harbinger of
powers.
destruction. Pretty nice.
It was a good moment for her at that point. Maybe not entirely afterwards, but well.
Oh my god. I just love the phrasing. Best moment of your life. God. This is already so much. If you want, Rob, we can come back to promise. You'd have to make.
I know what I want them to be like for. One is for Isidro. I will not allow your future to come to pass. I don't know if I know about that though.
If you've made the promise to me, then you know. Then you probably know a bit of it.
And for Anemone, it was something along the lines of, I will not allow you to, become what my mother wants you to be, which was going to be an impossible one.
That sounds bad.
I just need to find a better way to word those.
You're muted, Stephen.
I will deny you your destiny.
Exactly.
What a promise! I would watch this anime, honestly. Like I say this because I'm terrible at watching TV shows. I think I've watched 20 different first episodes last year and have not stuck to any of them. But I would watch this. Well, partially because y'all made this up, but I would totally watch. This is so much. This is so much. Oh my god. Great. All right, so that's promises. I'm trying to think. Let me actually look I think that is it for characters. I think we have our set of characters. The last thing we'll do is we're gonna go back to the crew sheet and pick two special abilities. One is just a regular one. Another one is a transcendent one. So if you go to the drive folder, if you go to like go by Moonlight, play sheets, playtest edition within Darkest Night. there is a list. The In Darkest Night is page 11 out of 19. And yeah, there is a branching tree path that I tried and failed to recreate, so I just decided not to bother. But yeah, there's like a list of abilities there. You're gonna pick one from the regular ones, and there's a transcendent abilities at the bottom, and you're gonna pick one from that. I just saw looking down like in the PDF, in the actual like game, it says in a similar spirit to Cut to the Action, we begin play of the series in the second season of our imagined story. Which okay, yeah, so I'm in lockstep with Andrew Gillis, which is great. Yeah, but yes, we're gonna so have a look through those core abilities and shout out which one interests yourselves. If you have questions for like, oh, what does Fallout mean? What do some certain terms mean? Feel free to ask those as well.
What does it mean to roll stars?
Stars are like the name of your
Oh, I
attributes.
see.
You know
I see.
how
I see.
in
Yeah,
other
I
games,
see.
like-
I've seen them. Yeah. I just at the moment I asked, I had the intuition that that might be it. Cool. I like gazing into the abyss, but that's probably because I like that move so much in Monster Hearts.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same thing. Permanently fill the first 3 pips. Bad stuff happens when the darkness is less tracks to fill, but you do get you do mark XP and just gain a die when you investigate the darkness.
I mean, I also like Tormented Heroes, which kind of seems to fit these guys. I'm just going by the words, though. Not by the effect.
Well, more action ratings certainly helps. Yeah, I should actually explain what sun, moon, and stars represent, because some abilities are like, oh, roll stars or whatever. Sun represents a character's compassion and resolve. Roll sun when you resist a consequence of violence and fear. Moon represents a character's sincerity and clarity. Roll moon when you resist a consequence of despair and heartbreak. And stars represents a character's cleverness and elegance. Roll stars when you resist a consequence of panic and social pressure. Yeah, Tormented Heroes is just a good like base beginner because it does get you an extra action rating.
Well, it doesn't get you an extra action rating. I think it gives you +1 mostly on your like resist rolls.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Troubled Hearts. I was
Yeah.
confusing that with Tormented Heroes. That's my bad.
I mean, yeah, extra action ratings are always useful. I do also like the Tormented Heroes or Dark Side for they seem like narratively interesting things.
When you
Because
accept...
besides the extra, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just reading the move. Go ahead.
Yeah, because like besides the extra resistance you get for Tormented Heroes, you also recover stress by you also get to recover stress by taking harm.
What the?
Like when you take harm, recover stress equal to the level of the harm.
So there's, oh my god. So say when you're in Eclipse and you're like too stressed away from eclipsing out, or at least from losing your character, you can like, oh, I take harm. You gain back, take level 3 harm. You get that stress back. Oh my god. The thing that made me stand up is the dark side one, which for those who might be watching this, gain 1 die to all action rolls made while in Eclipse. When rolling Eclipse, take -1 die. When you accept a dark bargain, you get 2 dice.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
What about you, Rob? What's speaking out to you?
I'm still looking at. I do like the dark side one, or troubled heroes, troubled hearts rather.
All right. Yeah,
I
so I,
mean,
think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sabine.
I like the dark side as well, but maybe we could take the dark side and then take fighting in shadow from the transcend abilities, because I think that's maybe the best. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for I don't know who might be watching. Transcendent abilities. The fighting shadow is each crew member marks a transcendent action dot in confess, defy, and conceal. I should explain what that means because here in Girl by Moonlight, in the character sheet, you'll notice that like the last two dots in all your action ratings have a weird color. Basically, you don't have access to those unless you're in transcendence. So when you're in mundane form, the limit you'll roll an action rating normally is just 2. But when you transcend, you gain access to the third and fourth one. So basically, if you pick Fighting in Shadows, you will get like an extra transcendent dot in one of those. So you only have access to that dot when you become your transcendent self. The thing like to make note of that is like one of the heroes doesn't have a transcendent self at the moment.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, it just means that like I wouldn't benefit from any of these moves.
Oh,
oh
yeah, you wouldn't benefit anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I won't allow it for the transcendent moves.
Oh. Come on, like I take fatal harm while transcended. Ooh. You just don't. Let's see. Emerald creeps. Okay. Oh, so basically, you're basically adding a last breath for any Dungeon World fans out there, of which there are probably still quite a bit. Ooh. Oh, yeah. The ability cuts off. I just noticed. Yeah, for the thrill cuts off there. The last thing there is. Let me find it. While this desperate rolls made while transcended also count as recovery rolls, so basically you lose stress while rolling desperate and transcended. But while transcended, count all controlled rolls as risky, so you lose controlled, but that means you can recover stress while being a magical girl, while being transcended. But that just means like you can't roll controlled rolls anymore. I gotta say, all these abilities are really good. I think the part of the problem of trying to pick one is there. We can start with that. We can start with that. All really good. But we do have to make a decision.
I mean, I am fine starting with dark side. That works for me. Since I start with, since I'll certainly probably be taking advantage of that as not having any transcendence.
Keep making bargain after bargain.
Yeah.
Is that okay with folks? Dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And for transcendent abilities, I think any of them probably would be fine. But yeah, we have to make a choice.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the I won't allow it, but if people want that, I mean, I'm not too
I feel like
bothered.
it might not necessarily come up all that often in like a 3-session game.
Yeah, and I will say, man, whenever folks play Forge in the Dark with me, they always roll 6s. There's proof of that all over the internet. I'm just saying, if I ever run a Forge in the Dark game, everyone always rolls a 6. It's for a game where like you're explicitly told that like, oh, you don't really prep like stats or whatever. It's just like depending on the roll, and everyone rolls a 6. They're like, okay, all right, cool.
Like, I think for a shorter campaign, it might be better to just go with the extra stats for transcendence, or yeah.
Well, just saying, I just rolled one die and it was 1, so I wouldn't be too sure about that. But I still think what Steven says is value. Maybe we go with the fighting in shadows thingy.
Yeah. Is that okay with you, Rob?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So each crew member marks a transcendent action dot in confess, defy. I think this means or conceal. Let's just end. Wait. Oh wait, no, end. I think it just says end. So, huh?
Well, because it's like you have to like transcend even to access those dice. So
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So yeah. So you put a dot in all three. Okay, that's amazing. If this provides your only dot in a given action, it does not count towards your attribute rating for resistant rolls because they're not at the very left. But yeah, geez. All right, everyone's a bit more well-rounded. Okay, cool. So we only have a little bit of time. So yeah, I guess the one thing we'll do is just like get a nice last shot of these characters. We get to see what they look like in the anime opening, which I'm imagining for some reason the music is like this driving piano beat. For I'm very specifically thinking of the Angel Beats opening because that is a very nice. That's a very nice song. People should check that out. Don't know if you should watch Angel Beats. That's it. Anyway, yeah. So I kind of want to see in this opening. So we probably get shots of like, the city, the boarding school, and we get flickers of when the darkness comes. We get these like silhouetted shots of like these former magical girls. I want to get two things from each of you. One is what your character looks like, when they're doing mundane stuff, like when we see them in the opening, like their normal day to day, and then when we get to like the driving actiony part of the OP, what they're doing as their transcended form, like what cool shot they are. If you want to hint like background stuff, at character stuff, like any specific shots in this opening, feel free to do so as well. But those are the two things I kind of want to see. And whoever's an idea, feel free to jump in.
yeah, I mean, I guess I can if nobody else is jumping in. I think we see Anemone. She's kind of working with a kind of calm peacefulness, doing some errands for Miss R around her around her nurse's office / lab. And I think that we kind of actually see her going out into like the city streets, where we get the occasional onlooker kind of looking back at her because she has a slightly inhuman appearance to her. Her eyes kind of have this kind of mottling of maybe chlorophyll and flower colors, and I think we kind of see her stop as she sees, because I don't have a transformation yet. We stop as we see her see a one of the mechanized troopers kind of marching down the street, kind of maintaining order. And the visor flips back, and we see a face very similar to her own within. And we kind of see like something kind of not quite, but like when we see like this is something we assume that like is seen by everyone, but just by the audience, like something dark and winged silhouette rises up behind Anemone, almost like she's partly manifesting something, but not quite.
Ooh, that's really cool. And this is the second season opening, so like we probably got hints of that in the first season of whatever this is, but now like it's more manifest in this season's opening. That's really cool.
I've got an idea for Isidro's mundane scene, and it's a ballroom. It's a very fancy ballroom with lots of cups and chalices and a display of overwhelming wealth by the people who walk around. They wear jewelry. It looks tasteful to the audience, but also it's really, really ostentatious. They really wear a lot of that, but they're all very beautiful. And we see Isidro leaning on the column, looking like he's bored, but he has to be here. It's pretty clear that this is not where he would choose to be. And he's playing with some sort of of wine glass or something, and he's looking around. And as he's looking over, you can see some of his younger relatives walking, and then you see a weird kind of double vision, like the real ones, they go left, right, and then the double vision goes to the left, like they made a different choice, and you can see that.
Ooh. That's really cool.
And for the action, more actiony part where he's transcendent, we can just maybe see his transcendency sequence where he gets enveloped by shadowy roots and then grows out of them as a very dark, shadowy person covered with roots that just grow all around him. And you can see his eyes opening, and they are very, very green at that point.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think we see Mal walking through the corridors of the school, looking over her shoulder, with the hall monitor Petra over her shoulder, and up ahead of her we see Casey, the sleuth character that I mentioned, disappearing around the corner, and dark shadows creeping out from around the corner. And I think Mal looks down at her hand curling into a fist as thorns grow out from the knuckles, and just sort of a sort of hard bark like second skin covers her as she transforms into her magical girl appearance.
God. All right. I think with that shot, as we get rapid fire shots at the end of we got anemone silhouetted in wings. We got you see Dro end making one choice and seeing the other, making two choices and seeing each ends, and we get a hint of Thorn as you're transforming. And yeah, then we end this as opening anime shot with a shot of this horrible tangled city, just looking from above, and we're gonna see the city next session. Thanks very much to anyone watching this. Thanks very much to our players. These are some fabulous ideas. The setup is, like I said, I would watch this anime. It's so much. I'm really excited for next week. I'm gonna stop this broadcast. Again, these are all some very fantastic players with very cool ideas. And want to check out Girl by Moonlight. I'll put a link down to where I'm not sure. I think playtesting is closed, but I'll put a link to Andrew's Twitter. Girl by Moonlight was recently picked up by Evil Hat. I say recently, I think a month ago. So it is probably getting a physical version sometime in the future. But I think signups for playtesting are still open. I'll put a link where you can find all that stuff. Anyone might be watching this. I'm gonna stop broadcast. We'll be back next week and see where these oh my god. I want to give them a hug already. Poor fools. Poor fools. Anyway, stop the broadcast. Prepare for a creepy voice.